A light onto the nations. Israel, the Jewish people. Listen in. Tell me what you think.
Israelis showed up and that people said, oh my God, an Israeli plane. Yes, we're saved. They can do that. They're choosing not to, and it breaks my heart. Let's get to peace.
Thank you. Ms. Hausdorf, 3 minutes to conclude.
It's actually almost amusing, that final comment, because that's precisely what Israel has done around the world at humanitarian disasters. For years, the State of Israel has prided itself on being a light unto the nations and providing assistance even to some of its neighbors who would, not so long ago, have rejected that assistance because they were on a war footing. And Israel has continued to provide that assistance to in terms of humanitarian aid, medical assistance, evacuation, to the Palestinian civilians in Gaza who are being subjugated, tortured, murdered by Hamas. That is what has been continually ignored from the other side of the table, which has been refused to be called out. And that is at the heart of the misinformation, the inversion of the responsibility that we have been hearing about. Now, we heard about hatred being at the core. I think that's something I might actually agree with. The hatred that drove people, thousands of them, to cross the border on the 7th of October and rape, slaughter, torture men, women, and children. That hatred is at the core, not just of the conflict, but of all of the misrepresentations and false information that you've heard this evening. It is at the core of the lawfare initiatives which the ICC and the ICJ have found themselves now also subject to. And it is at the core of all of the Hamas propaganda that you have heard, again, parroted this evening. Anyone who has been on the ground in Gaza knows the reality of the situation. Anyone who has been on the ground in Ramallah knows the reality of the situation. And what has given me the most cause for hope and optimism is when I visited venture capital startup funds in Ramallah looking to create Silicon Valley in the Middle East, looking to create a Palestinian middle class with a stake in society, an economy, and something to live for so that they can push back against the indoctrination and the subjugation by Hamas. The canard of occupation is simply untrue. It is untrue in a legal sense, it is untrue in a practical sense, because in the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority control areas A and B. The Palestinian population, Mahmoud Abbas, is in his 19th year of a 4-year term. That is subjugation. That is an occupation by the Palestinian Authority of their own people. And likewise, Hamas in Gaza rules brutally. We have seen only this week further evidence of their torture of Palestinian civilians. It is the straw men and the lies that we have heard, repeated again and again today, which enable Hamas to continue with their atrocities against Palestinians and civilians. And the justification of terror on the basis of that canard, that blood libel of occupation, is part and parcel of what we collectively need to push back against if there is going to be any hope of there being peace one day.
Thank you.
At simple test, if Israel would put down their arms, then it would be from the river to the sea they would be thrown into and annihilated, heaven forfend. Oya loisia. But if the Palestinians put down their arms, there would be peace.